Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is Arrival, a sci-fi film from 2016. This movie will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on all of the major services for $2.99. Go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot. So welcome to Screen Riot. My name is Justin, and I'm joined with co-hosts Eddie, Kyle, and John, and this week we're taking a look at Arrival, a sci-fi film from 2016. The movie follows Louise, a world-renowned linguistics expert played by Amy Adams, where suddenly 12 unidentified flying objects show up on Earth, and the U.S. military comes to seek her aid. To help her, the military also recruits Ian, a theoretical scientist played by Jeremy Renner. And together, they work to try to communicate with the alien beings and find out what their true intent is on Earth. Mm-hmm. That's my little summary I came up with, which I think is
that's
pretty good.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah, definitely.
So Arrival was directed by a French director, Denis Villeneuve. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I think I am.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I believe to be one of the top directors of the last decade.
I agree.
Because he directed Arrival. He did Blade Runner 2049, which I actually have not seen yet.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
What?
No.
That's actually pretty good.
No.
I liked it.
I can't even remember it. That's how I didn't like it that much.
Oh.
Well,
But he also did Sicario, which I love.
oh,
Sicario 1 is really good.
Yes.
Sicario 2, Day of the Soledad, not good at all.
Which he did not direct.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah, so he did the first good one.
Yeah.
He also did Enemy, which is really good.
Which one's Enemy?
See, he also did Prisoners, which
Yeah.
I keep getting those two movies
Mixed
So
up?
I'm going to have to
Enemy. I'm trying
go
to
look
remember
through
that
them
one.
here.
Yeah.
But he did both of those, and those are actually pretty good.
Yeah, because isn't Jake Gyllenhaal in Prisoners as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
yeah, he's in both, so
okay.
that's why I keep getting those mixed
Interesting.
up. But and then he also is directing that
yeah.
remake of Dune that's supposedly coming out later this year.
Okay. I did see Enemy, and I didn't like it.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't like it. I thought it was slow as balls. Like, it's just so slow, and I don't know. I didn't care for Enemy, and I don't know if I saw Prisoners. Let me see.
Prisoners is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Hugh Jackman in it.
Yeah, because it's got
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman. His kid gets kidnapped, and it's all about Hugh Jackman trying to find her.
Yeah, Find the Kid.
Yeah,
That's a really good movie. That's
don't think I
probably
saw that
that's
one.
probably on my list.
actually, yeah,
I think.
I didn't think about it, but I should put that on my list. But if you
Yeah.
do, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah, I'll put it on my list.
I will allow it.
Good.
Okay, so
Thanks.
I'll have to check out Prisoners. I don't think I saw that one, but I did watch Enemy. I didn't like Enemy. I thought it was really, really slow. And Blade Runner 2049 was really, really slow, and so was Arrival. All three were really, really slow. I have a feeling this
Then I
guy
like slow
paces
movies, then,
himself.
I guess.
I don't know. I wouldn't really consider Arrival being slow.
I wouldn't either.
The pacing was decent because it seemed like once they got to now the very beginning part when she's going through all the flashbacks or spoiler alert, flash forwards.
Yes.
That part was a little slow, but once she actually got on scene, everything was like they didn't even have time to think. Everything was like, okay, the door's about to open, and we got to go back out. And
So I agree with you that they rush her to see the spaceship pretty quick.
Yeah.
But once she's in the spaceship, it slows back down. Like they do that cool flip mode. It's very cool. Like it's very Christopher Nolan, the way that the orientation of the person actually has to
hell yeah.
go 90 degrees to be upright, quote unquote, inside the spaceship. I thought that was cool.
Well, I think that was supposed to be slow just because of it's a culture shock. I mean, it's a huge like you've never seen this before, so you're trying to understand it, and you're actually understanding it with the character.
And remember, this movie isn't about the aliens.
No, I know.
This is a personal movie about Louise
Well,
and her journey.
If you're expecting Mars Attacks, this isn't
Right.
that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with
Yeah,
you.
it's not a popcorn alien movie.
Independence Day. It's not that.
And I like to describe this as like if Spielberg and Nolan had a love child. That's how I kind of see this
Could
movie
see
a little
that.
bit.
Kind of, yeah.
It kind of I don't know. It ventures into not as bad as the Congress. Like it doesn't go as off like insane as the Congress does, obviously.
Yeah.
But in terms of questions, it kind of leaves you with more questions than answers. Like there's like Louise eventually figures out the alien language and all that kind of stuff. Well, how? Like there's a lot of that doesn't get completely filled in. I mean, it's based on this. They get a few images, and then a couple years later, because I don't know the timeline 100%. I know it's a few years later, obviously. Go ahead, John. You want to say something about it? Okay, it's just to say a few years later that she has developed this book and whatnot. But did they implant it in her mind, or?
See, I think that because ultimately the universal language, that language is supposed to bring humanity together.
Yes.
And it also opens, knowing this language, being able to understand this language, opens your consciousness to be able to think of time non-linearly. Right. So you would be able to see things in the future and in the past and stuff like that, right? I think that because we were seeing these flashbacks, flash forwards, that we don't know are flash forwards, before she meets the aliens, I think the reason that the aliens came was because of her.
It is.
Because humanity has someone who is ready to learn this universal language. So she's already experiencing that partial level of consciousness.
Okay.
And that's why they come in the first place. So she's already geared toward being able to understand it.
Yeah. The aliens say that in 3,000 years, they're going to need humanity's help.
Right.
And that's why they're here. So they've traveled, either
Technically back
they
in
travel
time.
back in time or they see the future.
Yeah.
Right? That's not explained. We can assume it's they see the future, and then they can embed that into people because Amy Adams can see it there.
Yeah.
They're here for her. And the reason they are here for her is because whatever that crisis is, 3,000 years from now, this is the pivotal point that they need to correct. They need humanity to work together or whatever it is to solve that problem, whatever that crisis is.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and I'm with that. Again, I felt like the ending part where, like, the explanation where is able to develop and understand the whole language.
Right.
It takes a level of disbelief, like a suspension of disbelief, I should say, a level of suspension of disbelief for that one piece. Other than that, I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I think that the whole thing, like you're saying, with the 3,000 years and whatnot, I don't think that they are just time travelers. I think they are able, because of their language somehow, they're able to see into,
Right.
like, they don't look at time the same way we do.
Right.
They look at it in terms of like a series of pictures, both backwards and forwards and sideways. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think she understands the entire language at that moment at the end.
Okay.
I mean, she obviously knows enough of it to be able to communicate with Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
She's got her iPad there, her tablet there, or whatnot, and she's asking them. She's writing in complete quote unquote sentences to them.
Right.
So she and this is over the course of months.
Yes.
I mean, this is a
Right.
long time that they've been working on this.
Okay, so maybe they figured it out that they needed to be there in X amount of time for her to be able to learn the language enough to continue it out.
Right.
Okay, I'm willing to accept that.
There are two lines that Jeremy Renner say. He does say that we were at this for months.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when he said that. But there's another clue when they go back in to talk to Abbott and Costello, and the bomb has been placed by the radicalized military guys.
Yeah.
That he said, what are we going to call this? Session 39, 38? Or she asked that. And then he goes, we'll call it 38B.
Okay.
So they've done at least
38
sessions with them.
And those are presumably 18-hour sessions.
Yeah, the only thing that they don't say is how long
The
sessions
Yeah.
are. They say that the door opens every 18 hours, but they don't say how long that window is.
Right.
Right.
Which I guess isn't really that important.
I mean, it could be open for 8 minutes or 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 2 days. It doesn't seem to be that. Yeah, there's little holes like that, and which aren't a big deal. They really aren't. I mean, in the grand scheme,
They don't ruin the movie that you
No.
don't know that the door is open for an hour.
no, the movie does a pretty good job there, and I don't know. I definitely think that you honestly didn't think it was slow.
No.
I
Interesting.
didn't think it was.
Now, the very
Okay.
first part, I thought, was slow just because they were having all those flashbacks, flash forwards,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I think it's more of you're trying to, not, I guess, care for the daughter
Yeah.
in a way, and you're trying to care for her, like, personal feelings. Like, it's a character development for
Yes.
Amy Adams or for Louise.
Yeah. The daughter, by the way, the whole piece with that is tragic.
Very tragic.
Very tragic. So I've seen this movie a few times, and the first time I watched it, I was like, holy shit. So she was literally watching her daughter die prior to having given birth to her daughter.
Yeah.
That's awful. Then I was like, would I still get pregnant? Like, would I still go through with having the baby if I knew that X amount of time was literally, I mean, like, I almost had like a rough knowledge of like, okay, 6 years. Like, I have 6 years, and then at the end of 6 years or 8 years or however, I forget how old she is. I don't think they tell her.
She was like in her
She was like
teens.
in 15 or 16.
Does she make it that? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I know they spent a lot of time though with her being like a little kid.
Well, they do that smash cut where Luis is setting her down for bed, and she's like six, seven,
8,
something like that, and she says, "I love you," and then they cut to like
She's
her
like,
as a teenager, and
yes.
she says, "I hate you," because
You're-
they're
Yeah.
teen angst.
So would you, would you go through and do it still? And I came to the conclusion that I would.
See, that's the big question.
I came to the conclusion that I would. What do you think, John? You got kids. Yeah.
I think I would. I mean, I wouldn't trade. I wouldn't trade being a dad for anything.
Exactly.
I mean, it's extremely rewarding, and I mean, and that's just not only is it rewarding that you get to watch them grow, but it's it's unconditional love.
True.
I mean, your kids love you regardless of what you're able to provide for them, regardless of I mean, there's certain things, obviously if you treat them badly,
Yeah.
they're not gonna like you, but I mean, that's just an unconditional thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't miss it for the world. Also, if I am looking at it from Amy Adams' point of view in the film, if I don't do this, I may change something
For the future. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Well,
yeah.
but
Okay,
she
go ahead.
she should at this point. Well, maybe not right then and there, and maybe not even because we don't know the length of time between the end of the film and when she writes the book.
Well, no, but there's that. So that bothered me a little bit. But we know that she has the kid because she's pregnant at the end of that. I mean, like, she's already pregnant.
Where I was going with that,
Yeah.
was we don't know the length of time between there, so she obviously isn't going to write the book unless she completely understands the language and knows the meaning and how to bring people together and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't know at this point in time whether having the child she can't, she's not on that full plane of consciousness to go, okay, if I don't have her, this is what's going to happen. If I do have her, this is what's going to happen.
Which is what Abbott and Costello can see.
Right.
They can see variations in the timelines that she's not able to. Yeah.
And you also got to think too is in the very beginning she was like, I only see, very small pieces. Mm-hmm. She can only like remember, major milestones or something like that of certain events. Mm-hmm. So she hasn't really lived through the whole 12, 13 years with her daughter. She's only seen bits and pieces of what that life was or is going to be.
Right.
So she's like, yeah, I want to actually live that whole span, and actually have all of those memories instead of just bits and pieces.
That's a good way of looking at it.
No, it is. What went through my mind was, like, everybody dies. You know that. You know that without a shadow of a doubt. However, if I knew pretty clearly that my kids weren't going to make it past 17, would I still want to do that? You know what I mean? And I did decide like that I would, but damn, like that's just...
Yeah, but at the same time, the end date, but you don't know like the dash between the first date and the last date. You want to live that dash.
No, I'm completely. I'm
Right.
with you. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. There seems to be a lot of pain in that dash, as you're saying.
Sure.
There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of angst that goes into that. There's a lot of, Jesus Christ, the guilt. If I knew without a shadow of a doubt that my son was going to die tomorrow, right? Every time I got upset with him today, would just I would be like, never mind, do you,
Right.
do you,
Yeah.
go. You got about 23 hours left. Go ahead. Yep. That's just how horrible,
Or would that force you? It would be horrible for you and for me, for anybody who's having to go through that. But would that make you look past the trivial things and focus more on the moment and focus
so.
more on being in that moment with your child as opposed to, okay, they didn't shut the refrigerator door all the way.
Or spilled a glass of
So-
milk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this in a way. So I've thought about this a lot, okay? And you guys are going to laugh. But if you could tell the future, right? And you knew your future and everybody else's future around you, you couldn't possibly tell anybody.
Right.
Right? So she's putting this language out there, right? They're all going to be able to know their futures. And or if they don't have one. So let's say you're a kid and you learn this language and you find out that at age 12 you break your neck on a trampoline in the backyard. It happens. It's what's going to happen. There's no way around it, right? Do you bother studying? Do you bother like going to school at all? Like
if you're on that level of consciousness to where you can to where you're on that plane of existence, you're going to this line of thinking is going to change.
Okay.
It's going to be a different type of existence. It's not I have a definite end and a definite beginning, or I have a definite beginning and a definite end.
Okay.
It's more of I am in existence, and it's the things like I was saying that these type of things won't matter as much, because if you're there, you don't. I mean, to me, if I'm on another plane of existence and I can know the whole universe, you don't need to go to school because you already know everything.
Well, but
Right?
you don't know everything. You just know the language and you know the past and the present. You still have to learn things. Like Abbott and Costello, which one of them dies? I always forget. It's Costello?
Yes.
Yes. I get him confused. I'm like, I think it was Costello that died. Abbott is pissed. Abbott's not happy that Costello died.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously death still matters.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So if death is still a thing and he's not like Costello because he could read this language and know past and present and future, that means he lives on forever. He still has a finite amount of life. So if I'm 7 and I learn this language and I'm like, okay, 12, I die. Well, then, fuck going to school for the. I mean,
Well,
Jesus,
I think you would think differently.
I mean, you're probably right.
It all
John,
depends
but,
on your outlook on life. You
Yeah.
could look at it as a pessimistic way, but think about the people who get terminal cancer. They might turn around, look at the other flip side of the coin, and go, "Well, I'm going to live life to the fullest while I have time."
Completely, no, completely. And I think I said, I don't know if I did, but this is a nihilistic way I'm looking at it. I mean, there is a certain amount of nihilism because there's going to be a percentage of the population that is going to be negative about it. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, well, again, how do you go down that road? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It just seems, I almost don't want to know. I just don't want to know. You know, I would avoid learning that language because I don't want to know. Just, I want to be happy with my kids, be happy with my life, and just sort of be like, okay, well, we're floating through, and here's what happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're answering the big question of the movie right up front. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. I was looking through the actors since we're talking about the kid.
Yeah.
Obviously they use 3 different actors. They use one for the 6-year-old, one for the 8-year-old, and one for the 12. So apparently she's 12.
Maybe 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
I just want to say, like, the actress who I think it was the 8-year-old. She did an amazing job.
Well, she's the one that sticks out to me. Yeah.
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 Like the scene that always gets me is when she's coloring, and she has this is the picture of Mommy and Daddy. They told us that we had to make a fake TV show. And what's yours called? Oh, it's Mommy and Daddy Speak to Animals,
Yeah. And she's got she basically draws Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, yeah. And that scene always gets me, and the actress, just for 8 years old, she kills it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the other scene that we see her in when Luis is playing with her in the backyard, like that feels genuine to me.
Yes.
It's not like the kids from what was the film noir that we watched?
The Devil's Staircase.
No.
Kiss of Death.
Kiss of Death, yeah. The Devil's Staircase.
Just saying the staircase scene.
I'm going to find a movie called The Devil's Staircase, and I'm going to...
Of course you will.
Bring it up.
But remember, that was one of our biggest critiques of the movie. It was just the acting of these 2 kids just felt forced and just didn't feel natural.
Yeah.
But these kids did in this movie, and that's what I really like about those scenes.
I agree. I think Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams had good chemistry on camera as well. Looking at the movie from a filmmaking standpoint, I do think it had some really cool ideas, and I do think that the camera angles that they chose, the coloring that they chose, etc. I thought they were all really good. I mean, the same thing like you were talking about the director with Enemy and stuff. I thought Enemy looked great. I just wish it had a better story. Like I fell asleep watching it. It lost me. You know what I mean? This movie I didn't fall asleep, but there's certain parts that just felt like they went on and on. I'm like, okay, and they can't really shave anything out of it. Isn't the movie like 91 minutes long?
Yeah,
it's 2 hours.
Yeah,
is it 2 hours
or an hour and 52 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, I just feel like this
hour
movie's
52
put together really well, from start to finish. I would be happy like if I worked on this movie completely.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I would too. And Amy Adams, wow.
I agree.
mean,
she's a great actress.
She carried this movie. If her acting was poor in any way, it wouldn't have been successful.
Yeah,
But I mean, she carried this movie. It was phenomenal. Now, Renner, to me, was okay. He was Jeremy Renner. You know,
Well, he's always Jeremy Renner.
right? Well, I mean, you know, we have like Samuel L. Jackson. His Samuel L. Jackson in every movie.
God damn, I'm doing a children's movie. Yeah, I know what you mean.
can't wait for these motherfucking aliens to get out of this motherfucking Earth.
Yeah, it's always going to be Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah,
But
or
you know,
Vince Vaughn is constantly like
He's
frat
always
dude.
Vince Vaughn,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's frat guy.
So I thought Renner was okay, but I think his role really could have kind of been played by anybody. I mean, it's not a
it's
not a
possible,
very it's not a hard role to play whenever you're playing against Amy Adams. Now, I say this partially because I watched this with my wife, and she obviously, you know, she swoons over Renner. You know, she goes, why is he in this movie other than eye candy? And I could not find an answer because the role could have been played by anybody. Literally. I mean, it could have been played by Goldblum. It could have been played by Hoffman.
Well,
it could have been
I will
played
say, I will say none of
It would
those
have to
people-
be age appropriate.
That's
well,
what I was
yeah,
gonna say.
obviously age appropriate. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, it could have been played by that caliber of an actor or a lower caliber of an actor, and it would not have changed my feelings about the film.
Right.
I kind of
I
agree
think
with
so,
you. I mean, he's a supporting actor. I'm going to say this, and then I'll probably be proven wrong. But I mean, he didn't get like best supporting actor for this or anything, did he?
I don't
I
know.
would
I can
doubt
look
it.
that up.
Okay. Well, real quick, I mean that to me, I agree with you that the role could have been played by anybody, but I think he did a good job in the role.
Well, no, I'm not
that make
saying
sense?
saying
Yeah.
he was bad in the role. I'm just
Yeah.
saying he was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. It didn't. His acting did not wow me, other than the fact that it was so Jeremy Renner. It's like, okay, it's Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
It's not Amy Adams. I didn't go, oh, this is Amy Adams. I mean, I did at the beginning of the film, like, oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is Amy Adams.
Yeah.
But I mean, she embodied Louise Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Renner was okay. It's Hawkeye, minus the arrows, and got glasses.
I will say this, and this isn't going to be popular with you, John, considering what you just said, but I do think that while I think Amy Adams did a good job, I'm not trying to take away from her. I do think that her role was kind of the same way. Like to me, did you see The Greatest Showman?
Yes.
The woman who plays the cheating, the one that he cheats on his wife with, the singer. I'm trying to remember her damn.
I'll be honest with you. I watched it and fell asleep.
Well, I'm going to tell you
The
woman's-
Greatest Showman. I mean, unfortunately, I know people are probably going to hate me here, but I did not wow me.
Huh.
I don't care to watch it.
I didn't like the audio mix to it.
Okay.
And that takes me out big time, especially in a musical.
Yeah.
If I have to turn it up to hear when you sing softly, that's a problem.
Okay.
You're singing
well,
too soft.
so did you see Dr. Sleep?
No, I have not watched that yet. I know you recommended it to me several times.
Yeah.
Eddie, to answer your question earlier,
name is Rebecca
Renner
Ferguson. Yeah.
didn't get nominated at all.
Okay.
So, but Amy Adams did get nominated for Best Actress, but she did not win it.
Okay. So the person I'm talking about is Rebecca Ferguson. She's the actress I'm talking about. I think she could have stepped into that role and it had been just as good, if that makes sense. I think there's a few actresses that are on that same level that would have done a good job as well. So
Well, I didn't say she wasn't replaceable.
well, that's what I mean. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to take away from Amy Adams. I look at that the same way I look at Renner. While I think Renner could have been replaced with a few different people, I think he did good in the role that he was in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
I'm just saying, it was Jeremy Renner. To me, it was Jeremy Renner playing a character.
Yeah.
To me, I got lost. I forgot she was Amy Adams. I did
Okay.
not forget that that was Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner I was watching.
I get you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got you.
The one thing that it did win
Yeah.
during the 89th Academy Awards, it won Best Sound Editing. And I heavily concur with that because I did not touch the volume dial once.
Neither did I.
I mean, Nolan can take this movie.
Yeah, he could learn some
He could
things.
learn some stuff,
Yeah.
especially like in the scene where she gets in the helicopter and they play with the they
yeah.
play with the idea of sound,
Right.
Where she's talking or Jeremy Renner's talking to her, she can't hear, and then Forrest Whitaker motions over to
like,
the
yeah,
headset,
headset.
and she puts the headset on,
Yes.
and then the sound just goes, whoo.
It's her ears
Yeah.
that we're listening to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
take note, Nolan.
Yeah.
Watch a damn Denis Villeneuve movie.
I will say, yeah, I agree with you on the sound, especially the sound editing was good. I liked some of the shots they got. They got like especially the wide angle shots of the ship and the whole background and everything. I know it's CGI. I'm not a fucking idiot, but it looks real and it looks good. You know what I mean? It does look like they did a good job with scope.
I mean,
in
the
that movie.
the cinematography and this is what my pick for Best Picture for 2016 was. This is what I was hoping would win. And at least win cinematography.
I mean, it got nominated for all those things.
Right.
But
Yeah, it got nominated for a bunch of stuff, but it only won one thing.
yeah, Moonlight was best picture on that
Yeah. Who can you look up who won cinematography that year too?
one. That was cinematography.
The Greatest Showman. No. I will say, let me say this though too.
Yeah,
If
go
they were to win that, I think Greatest Showman was 2017. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just saying, if they were to win it, I could almost agree with that because The Greatest Showman was a practical movie, and this movie was filled with CGI. This movie was mostly CGI. You know what I mean?
It was La La Land. And
That's right.
La La Land actually took that whole.
They took everything.
They
that year.
took almost everything. Yeah.
Wasn't that the show that they screwed up the
Yes.
Yes.
winner?
Yeah. They said
They actually
La La
said
Land
La
when
La
it
Land
was
for Best Picture, but
meant
it was
to be
actually Moonlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was crazy.
But like one of my favorite parts of this is remember the daughter's name is Hannah, which is a palindrome, right? So we
Right.
get back to that whole Tenet idea, right? Which if you haven't listened to our Tenet episode, I highly recommend it. Go back to that and take a listen. But even in the filmmaking in this movie is sort of palindromic, if I could coin a word, because the opening shot of the movie it's pointing towards the roof of a house, and it tilts down and we see that landscape with the ocean or whatever, and then we don't realize that shot comes again towards the very end, and we see Amy Adams where Louise Banks walks into frame, so it cuts off. In the beginning, it's edited out right before she steps into frame towards the end, and then you subconsciously you go, "Oh, okay, this is a continuation of what this whole movie is about," in just that one line. And her line that she says, I've always found interesting in this movie because after her towards the beginning, we're seeing what the audience thinks are flashbacks. Amy Adams says, talking about her daughter, she says, "I used to think that this is where your story ended the day that they arrived."
Yeah.
And at the very end, one of the last lines of the movie is, "I used to think this is where your story ended, but it's actually where your story begins the day that they left." And I always thought that, oh man, I'm getting shivers now just thinking about about those two lines.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and again, I think this is probably the best movie I've seen by that director. At least that you've named off, because I don't know everything from every director.
I
so,
just
yeah.
named off his more popular
Boy,
stuff.
it'd be difficult to compare this to Sicario.
Oh shit, I forgot Sicario.
Sicario, yeah.
Okay,
Sicario's-
Sicario's better than this.
yeah.
I prefer Sicario.
I would actually pick Sicario over this.
Me too. Sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot about Sicario.
Depends
me-
on if what mood I'm in.
True.
I'm hands down Sicario on this one. Like Emily Blunt's character to me.
Oh,
Emily
yeah.
Blunt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She kills it. And Benicio del Toro, as fucking annoying as he is to me, I like him in Sicario. I didn't like him in Sicario the Day of the Soledad thing when he does the stupid one finger handgun shot thing that he does. Have you seen that?
I haven't watched the movie. No.
He takes his finger and he sticks it into the trigger.
Oh, yeah,
and he goes like with his finger real fast, like
That's
it's
really
like
weird.
it's the dumbest. I'm like, okay, you
like,
can't
why would you
aim
do that?
anything. Like there's just gonna be, oh no, it's just the dumbest thing he could
Sure you
possibly
can.
do. But
Sure you can.
yeah,
Oh, maybe it wasn't. He's not one fingerprints.
I don't know. That's still dumb. Brolin does a good job in that movie as well.
Yes.
But yeah. So, as far as this movie goes, as far as Arrival goes, I mean, what did you think? Like, would you change any part of it if you had to change something?
Honestly, no. I think this is a really good, almost perfect movie. Like,
Really?
Like
Okay.
my score is going to be super high for this.
Apparently, yeah.
2 things I would change.
Perfect.
I would try to somehow explain where the ships dissolve to.
Okay.
Just a little bit, just to
Time.
tease the
Just
right,
time.
because it's not explained. It's like, okay, they just disappear. I mean, where the hell did they go, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, and then I think I would have alluded to Renner and Adams falling in love a little more,
A little earlier.
a little earlier.
It
Yeah,
seems like they fell in love once she realized they were supposed to fall in love.
right.
Yeah,
right.
I
So
agree
I
with
mean,
that,
I would think that would be something over time that would have happened. So I think I would have had them make googly eyes or something,
Yeah.
throughout the film.
Well, remember they have that one heart-to-heart moment on the truck
Yes.
on the truck bed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I mean, it's just the one.
I have heart to heart with
I mean-
you though, Justin. I'm not in love.
Well,
But-
that makes
but-
one of us.
But on a truck bed, though.
That's me and Justin, or me and John when you're talking truck bed. What about you? What did you think?
I mean, I wouldn't really change a whole lot in this movie. I noticed that like there were some things that I really enjoyed, like the like when they were looking through the glass. You just thought that they were half their size, but yet when she goes up and they actually like teleport her up to their ship, they're actually like twice the size. It's
Yeah.
almost like the Easter Island, with the heads.
Yeah.
We just see the heads, but yet their bodies are actually in the ground. And it's like you're only able to see what they want you to see. And I thought that was kind of interesting how they kept themselves a little bit smaller, maybe to not be as scary. Because if they were even bigger, then they would be like, "Oh shit, you guys are really big." You're
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I probably wouldn't change anything.
No.
No.
The ship thing, I thought the ships showing up the way they did was cool. I'm kind of with John, but on the beginning end, I kind of wish that we had been able to see a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, too. Anything that you change with this movie is going to change the movie a lot. Like the movie seems so very tight in its construction that it's like, okay, well, I kind of want to see like, well, how did the other countries deal with it? But if you do, you change the whole fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like it's
But
very
you do
centralized.
see how you see how from our point of view
Yes.
how they deal with it. Like the Chinese general who's basically going to start a war offensive against them.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. It's not because this movie's so character driven about Louise and about Ian, right? Ian,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so character driven about that. Any break from that really takes away from being able to focus on those two characters. You know what I mean? So you get to see a little bit, but it's all filtered through her eyes. Like even talking about the Chinese general and all that stuff, you can see her perspective on that almost immediately. Like it's like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. You got to stop him. You got to stop him. Let me call him. It's all about her again. You know what I mean? So the dissolving thing at the end, and talking about not so much the size of the aliens, but the way that the aliens present themselves to us. I think there's a lot that you suspend with this movie. You have to suspend a lot of disbelief on stuff. You have to, or just take and put stuff out of your head and be like, well, that doesn't matter. If it mattered, the director would have told us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's almost what you end up doing with quite a few things with this movie, though. Because like I
Yeah.
said, there's stuff with the daughter, like, well, like, okay, you don't remember every memory ever, so I understand why he would break it up and show it to us in the way that he did. But why was she getting the memories as early as she was getting them? Why did that take place?
I think that was just the filmmaker doing a cool thing with time about make it think that it's
Yeah.
memories of a flashback, but it's really a flash forward that you find out later.
I totally agree with you. But we have to assume that that's what took place. Because
Yeah.
the way it's presented, she's getting those memories, and it's like, if it was me getting those memories, and I trust me, I had fucking weird deja vu all the time. I question why am I getting why is this taking place? She doesn't seem to do that until much later.
Right, which is the turning point of the movie. Yeah.
I'm just saying,
sure.
there's little things like that I feel like you have to suspend. So,
did you guys catch that the siren that they used? What it sounded like?
I don't think so.
It was just like the Purge siren. Yes. Which I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, man, I've heard that a lot recently of this type of siren being, from the Purge. And, every time they play it, I'm thinking, are the aliens going to come and destroy them or something?
Maybe this is Hollywood trying to get us ready for that sound.
Maybe.
What I mean? They're trying to tell us, listen, when you hear this sound,
martial law,
shit's going down.
And speaking of sound, the movie does some clever stuff to reinforce the whole language thing. Like when all of the countries are starting to disconnect from each other, through the telecom system or whatever, Denis Villeneuve, he does this camera tracking shot where Amy runs into that room saying, no, we have to be communicating. But you hear all of the translators in the room talking their language. Right. So, it reinforces the idea that we are a common people separated by different languages.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the language room,
right? Yeah. I always just thought that was a really cool idea to do that.
Oh, and her story about the in Australia when the guys came in, that's partially true.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So it wasn't actually kangaroo that they actually said. The tribe people, they actually said gangaroo or gongaroo or something like that, but the guy misheard it, and so he wrote kangaroo in his journal, but it doesn't mean oh gosh, what was it?
I don't understand.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't mean I don't know. It means I don't understand.
Okay.
And so she had the story somewhat right, but it was a true story that these people did say that it's like it's an unknown animal. It's like a UFO or something like that, right?
Gotcha.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, and the tribe people actually called their horses gangaroos as well.
Oh, okay.
But I like that in the film, though. He's like, "Oh, wow!" Like, nah, that's total bullshit. But it sounded good.
Yeah, but it was actually it's an actual real story, and yeah, it's actually the guy. It goes Lieutenant James Cook and Sir Joseph Banks.
Oh, so it was Cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
During the 18th century.
So maybe that's why her last name is Banks.
Could be.
Ah.
Yeah.
Just telling a family story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's probably the director making a nod, or the writer making a nod to that story.
Yeah, he's making connections.
Gotcha. And I like the wife's dying words thing story.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
The reason I think that is there is because everybody, the West has a mindset that China is very respect and hard nosed, and they respect authority, a lot more than Americans, would. So what is going to get a Chinese general's attention?
Yeah.
You're not going to beg to change his mind. You're not going to pay him off to change his mind. You're going to have to jar that general in such a way to go, okay, this is real. And you assume that he was alone with his wife.
Yeah.
Whenever she died. So her saying that was like, I will do anything you say.
Yeah. How do you know?
How do you know this?
Yeah. I have the same thing, but it's with a specially placed tattoo. But I have the same thing. I'm with you. What are you going to say to jar me?
Anyway,
so in the scene that I was talking about earlier with all the translators, the following scene right after that, I believe, it's them all sitting around not sitting, but they're standing around this conference table, and the guy running the show, which we don't see all that much of him, his name is Halpern, Halpern. He says Amy is pleading her case of, we need to be talking, we need to be communicating. And then Halpern says something like, well, we have to answer to superiors who aren't ready to do that, or something. Yeah. And then he makes a statement that he says, and I believe there's a word in Hungarian for that. But he doesn't say what the word is. Okay. He immediately gets a phone call, and he goes, yes, sir, and he walks out of the room. So I was curious
what the word
was. So I looked it up, Apparently, the word that he was referring to, and I'm going to butcher this because this is Hungarian.
Yeah.
Salamatektika.
Okay.
Yeah. But in English, it basically translates to salami tactics.
Salami
Salami
tactics.
Type,
Okay.
Sounds like what you told the last girl you dated, Justin.
Oh dear God.
type that into Google, and afterward say pronunciation, and it should give you
Yeah, it should actually say it.
audio file.
Salami tactics. Though.
Salami tactics.
I can say it. I don't need it. Oh, you're saying the Hungarian.
Yeah, the
version.
Hungarian
version.
version,
Oh,
not
okay.
salami tactics.
I was like,
yeah.
we can all say salami tactics.
Should it tell me?
Oh, it actually doesn't.
It doesn't.
Show you.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that does not say.
Good job, Google.
Right? Prove me wrong.
Well, they're in the middle of crashing other things.
Google doesn't know Hungarian.
So let me ask you guys this: as far as
Hungarian, Hungary's language,
Salami tactics.
salami tactics.
It all makes sense.
Jesus,
It's a recipe.
oh god,
What?
Shoma Tactica. Okay,
know.
weird. So as far as
Salami tactics.
you brought up Tenet and talking about this director, what do you think this director would have done with Tenet? If this
That's an
director
interesting
had done
question.
Tenet as opposed to Nolan, I just think it would have been like way slower. Because every movie I've seen by this guy, Sicario kind of included, because Sicario's got some really slow parts. It's got some high speed, really action parts too, but it's got some really, really slow parts.
Yeah.
I just wonder what he would have done with a movie like Tenet. Where like half the movie runs backwards, and I mean that doesn't seem to bother him with this movie, right? It's a science fiction movie too, but I wonder if it would have had as many action parts as Nolan put into Tenet.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, this movie moves forward. It doesn't go backwards at all.
True.
When you think about it.
Yeah,
As an audience, you assume you're seeing flashbacks, but again, until about I think it's like 9/10 through the way through the movie, you realize everything has been flash forwards. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
that's strange.
well, so Kyle,
let's talk about budget for this movie.
Oh, wow.
What do you guys think the budget was?
it's got to be pretty decent, I imagine.
I'm gonna say 70 million.
70.
Yep,
Right out the gate.
I'm gonna say 50.
I think
Okay.
that's a good guess though. Yeah,
Dang, that was what I was gonna say.
High or low?
I need to do high low.
go 49, John.
I'm gonna go 49.
Ooh, and you chose wisely.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
47 million estimated.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I like how you robbed Justin though.
I did.
anytime we can rob him. Fuck him.
Yoink.
Fuck him.
Okay, so the opening weekend in the USA, this came out November 13th, 2016.
I saw this in theaters twice, so I
Wow.
accounted for a lot of the sales.
So you accounted for like at least $20 or something like
Yes.
that? All right.
Shit.
So we know it's $20.
It's at least
When was
$20.
the last time you went to the movies? 1995.
Where-
That's
where
like
can I go?
$40 that you just.
I know, right? Where can I get
don't-
going to a movie at $10 now?
I don't get popcorn. I don't get-
Matinee. Matinee.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was 9 million. opening
9 million.
weekend.
That's a good guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 10 just because I went to it twice.
Yep.
Okay.
I was gonna say 11, but I won't.
Go ahead.
15 million.
Okay, so it's actually 24,074,000.
So John still got it. Yeah.
Half of the budget
They made half of their budget back
in opening weekend.
in the opening weekend.
And that's that's ridiculous.
I got 4 words for you: Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner.
yeah.
So here's the thing. I think it was
Aliens.
also yeah,
Aliens.
that's the thing too. The marketing for this movie, I remember because I watched it in the theater too, and I remember being very disappointed
Oh really?
because the marketing for it looked more high speed. It looked more interesting.
It looks more actiony.
Yeah, and then whenever I got in the theater, I was like, okay, it wasn't bad, but it was like a drama.
So you think they did a bait and switch?
I do
With the trailer?
I think that. Well, what is it? What's it listed as on IMDb? What type of movie is it listed
It's
as?
listed.
Drama, sci-fi.
Drama, sci-fi.
Yeah, drama sci-fi.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But again, with the marketing, it didn't come across that way. It came across as an action sci-fi movie. Like I wasn't expecting Independence Day, but I was expecting maybe closer to The Arrival with Charlie Sheen from the 90s, in case you ever saw that movie. Something a little bit more, just a little more actiony. Instead, it was like a movie. I mean, it was literally a linguistics movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, which is what I like about it.
No, it's not. I don't hate that, but I mean, if I was to tell you, "Hey, I have this really good linguistics movie for you to watch," you'd probably ignore me. Most people aren't going to be going to the movie theaters to watch somebody learn about a language.
You're right.
And that kind of ended up being the crux of her whole reasoning for being there, I should say, was learning a language. It's just,
and not just a language, but actually teaching and understanding other languages that it's completely foreign. It's like it's almost like a movie that's based off of the first contact of the Klingons.
Yeah, in a weird way.
You know, it's like we're trying to understand the Klingon dialect and language and all that kind of stuff. So the
gross,
the cumulative worldwide gross. I'll just do one and I'll tell you the other one.
Cumulative.
Cumulative worldwide gross.
I'm gonna say 100.
If we were so wrong on the opening weekend.
But see, the thing is, it could go both ways.
Word of mouth could. Wow, what was that?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. It could drastically drop. Especially if people were talking to you after seeing.
You sounded Hungarian, by the way, when you said that a second ago.
Yeah. Salami marketing. That's what I meant to say.
That's what took place. I'm gonna say 100 though. I'm gonna stay at
100.
100.
I'm 150.
150.
75.
I think John's closest. Go ahead.
No, actually, Justin's closest with 203 million.
I almost said 200.
Nice.
Wow.
Because I was going to double you. But
so you were actually almost spot on with the gross. USA, it made 100 million. 500,000.
So it did
the
better
US.
in like Eastern Europe and places that are real depressed. That makes sense.
maybe when they saw this movie in Hungary, when Halpern said that, they go, "Oh yeah,
we've been mentioned."
As they're eating their salami.
As they're eating their salami.
We've been mentioned finally. It
salami
took place.
tactics.
Jesus.
Our salami tactics worked.
No, there was an eruption of laughter in the theater when he said that. They're like, "We know what he means."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
well, since we're speaking of audiences, what do you guys think that the Rotten Tomatoes score was for audiences on this? Out of 100%.
I'm gonna say 78.
I'm gonna go high on this one. I think a lot of the audience liked it. I'm gonna go 95%.
Okay,
John?
83.
82%.
Ooh,
Nice.
wow, you're right on.
So
it.
John
John's
was
on
one
fire.
on.
Almost said 82.
Yeah, John's on fire this weekend.
What do you think the critics gave?
God, they were definitely higher.
Since
I'm gonna
John
say,
got closest.
I'm gonna
goes.
say, yeah, go ahead,
Say he
John.
goes.
That's fine.
89.
89.
That's a good guess.
Anybody?
I'm gonna go 90.
All right, I'll go 91.
94.
You bitch.
Nice.
You bitch. That's all I can say.
Eddie the loser.
Hey, it's either high or low, man. It's a toss of a quarter.
So, with that, let's go ahead and move to rate it ourselves. Since this was my movie, I'll go first here. Like I said, I'm going to be rating this super high. This was my favorite movie of 2016. It had some stiff competition. I believe Hell or High Water came out that year, which I thought was a pretty good movie. They had Sully, Fences, Moonlight, which...
Sully was good.
Yeah, I like Sully. They had La La Land, which I actually have never seen La La Land. Have no inkling to do so. Anyway, this was my favorite movie of that year. Like I said, I think Denis Villeneuve was the best director of that decade. The cinematography just kills me in this movie. It's off the charts good to me. And I just love the story, the framing of the story, and you're thinking that she's seeing flashbacks the whole time, but it turns out that they're flash forwards, and that twist, and the twist that Jeremy Renner is actually the husband, and then the big question that it poses at the end, that we talked about at the beginning of the podcast was, would you, if you knew what was going to happen, would you still do that thing? Mm-hmm. Which is a great existential question, I think.
I agree.
So yeah, with all that, I think I'm gonna give this movie and I'm gonna do the first time ever. I'm not gonna do a whole number.
Nice.
Oh, do you not normally do? I thought you always do
No,
halves and
that's
stuff.
always him. Well, half. I'm not gonna do a half either. I'm gonna do
Okay.
a 9.3.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that's the highest score any movie has
I think
gotten
that
on
is the
this
highest
show.
score anyone has ever given on this show. Yes.
Yeah. So
Possibly, yeah.
when you named off movies just now for 2016, I think I just realized I didn't like anything in 2016. Not really. This movie is up high on the list because Sully was okay. I wasn't crazy about it, but I liked it. I did not like La La Land. I did not like Moonlight. This movie's just anything the Oscars are like, this is going to be great. Typically, I'm like, this is going to fucking suck. This is going to be awful. So, I I did think this movie was good, though. I think overall, same things you just said, like they named off, or excuse me, same things you just named off. They did a good job of character development. They did a good job of, I think they did do a good job in casting. I know John's not a big Renner fan, maybe because his wife has the hots for him, but it could be it.
I'm a Renner fan.
I'm just saying.
just not a fan of Renner in this film.
That's fine. I'm just, look, to each his own, man.
Just give him a bow and arrow. It's fine.
But I will say that I think that I was not as confused about the twists. Like, whenever I saw the daughter and all that kind of stuff, I did think that the daughter had already passed. I'm with you on that. But as soon as Jeremy Renner was introduced, I was like, okay, well, there's the husband. I mean, there's only...
you saw it pretty early.
Well, yeah, because there's only so many people introduced. It would have been more creative had he not been the husband and had she not even met the guy yet. Like, that would have been more of a twist. Like, oh, wait, so Jeremy Renner and her don't get together? Like, who the fuck's the husband? She hasn't met him yet, but she's seeing that far into the future. You know what I mean? That would have been slightly more interesting. From a storytelling standpoint, from an audience standpoint, I think we would have complained that they didn't give us enough information.
Yeah.
So,
Or we didn't see the leads get together. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think it's a toss-up at that point as to which way we would have enjoyed more. I do find the movie slow. I just do, man. There's parts that drag to me. There's other parts that are really interesting, but then there's parts that feel like I'm trudging through that alien ship of mud. So I'm going to probably give this... God, I'm trying to think of a fair score for this movie. It's so fucking hard. 7.0. I think that's a fair score for this.
So Eddie has a 7. So
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I didn't really think it was too slow. Just those first, 15, 20 minutes, I thought, okay, let's get going here. But once after she gets on site, that's when everything just really takes off. And the mystery of it all, of trying to communicate with the aliens and everything, and learning the new language. This whole movie is just nothing but language and understanding everything, because one word can destroy relations just like that. So it's really important that they know, like the whole point of, use weapon, you are the weapon. Like, what you're using weapon as a term of use, like the life vest or something like that. But in their terms, it's weapon, but that's how we actually, or how they transcribed it, is that. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really neat, clever thing of anything that you say can be like misconstrued at all. Like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it type thing.
I'm going to tell you something real fast too. I know you guys aren't Doctor Who fans, but I brought it up during Tenet as well. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is that there's an episode of Doctor Who where all these different civilizations show up, and some of them are there to help the Doctor, and some of them are there to fight the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And what you find out is that in all of these different civilizations throughout the world and throughout time, the word Doctor has different meanings.
Oh, interesting.
Because on some planets he's shown up, like in our history he showed up way, like, thousands of years ago, and because he was called the Doctor from his own language, that word got implanted into our language as a helpful thing.
Gotcha.
But on other planets he's shown up and he's actually like terrorized their civilization because they're evil people.
So Doctor was a connotation of bad.
But yeah, so the word Doctor in their terms, it's like if you're the Doctor, you're basically Satan, right? Yeah. And it's like it's totally different. It was such an interesting thing.
Like this movie, our interpretation of weapon, it's typically bad.
Yes, to hurt something.
Yeah, it's to use to destroy or something like that. But I mean, I really enjoy this movie. I'm gonna actually give this an 8.9.
Nice. Wow.
Okay, 8.9 for Kyle.
Here comes John with a 1. Go ahead, John. Let's hear it.
No, nothing's better than a 0.7 for Devil's Reign.
Every time I go to the restroom, I think of your movie.
To me, it is a slower paced film, but the subplot, which really isn't a subplot of the daughter, is so moving and done so tastefully that it really wrapped me into the film. Mm-hmm. Looking back on the story and the way it was told, it's actually how life is. You have your main goal or mission or job that you're doing, but your mind's always wandering elsewhere to places either for your future, what you're going to do, or your past. I think it's very well made, and the story's told extremely well. I do think the falling in love stuff could have been done a little sooner. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, it's a fantastic movie, and I'd highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, to see it. And that being said, I think I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Nice.
Okay, so an 8.5 for John, which means that Arrival
It's going to be in the high 8s, no?
averages out to 8.4.
8.4. All right.
So that means that it now takes the top spot.
Oh, from the skin.
From the skin I live
was
in.
What,
Wow.
8.2?
It was 8.
8?
Even.
Okay, yeah.
So 8.4 now takes the top with Arrival. Nice. So with that, that means we have to spin to see who out of Kyle and John is going to pick our next movie.
All right, here we go.
Come on, John. Come on, John. It's Kyle.
It's Kyle.
Yep.
Nice. Great.
Okay, Kyle, what are we watching?
So we have, like, what, 10?
Another noir movie.
Oh, wow. Don't.
We have 10
Please
categories left.
Yeah, 10 categories
categories
left in this season.
Yep.
All right,
I want
so
something
spin.
different.
All right, here we go.
Jesus, that's a lot of categories.
We only have 10?
10.
How's that
10 left
possible?
in this season.
Okay.
And crime.
Crime. Okay,
Crime.
which is the damn near the same thing as noir. So
Just about. Okay. I'm actually going to do one from 1960.
okay,
Sorry. It's
okay.
It's my niche.
I kind of knew it.
The best Ocean's 11.
Okay, so the original.
The original Ocean's 11.
That's good. I've not seen the original. I'm excited to watch
It's got the Rat Pack. You know, it's got Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. Basically, it's
It's a good movie, babe.
could have been me. Danny Ocean gathers a group of his World War II compatriots to pull off the ultimate Las Vegas heist. Together, the 11 friends plan to rob 5 Las Vegas casinos in one night. So it's all about that.
Real quick, you didn't like the new one, the modern Ocean's 11?
Not really.
Not any of the sequels, just the original one.
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah,
But
I enjoyed it.
I thought
like,
it was okay.
I like the
yeah.
original.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I have, like John, I have not seen the original.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I'll
Have
be
you seen
excited
it,
to see
Eddie?
this.
I saw it one time when I was a kid, and my dad was watching it, so I barely paid attention.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So this will
I
probably be
saw
your
it-
first time
Yeah,
seeing it?
to watch it all the way through. Yeah,
Don't worry. But by the time we record the show, he'll watch it like 30 times.
Yeah. He'll be an
He'll
expert.
just have it on repeat all day.
I'll probably watch it at least twice, but yeah.
So the featured review this week I'll read is posted by a user or a listener named Red Rum 1963. Right, and Red Rum writes, "I really enjoy this podcast. Great banter."
Okay,
Nice.
That was it. Nice and
Nice.
clean,
Nice.
nice and short.
Great
That's
banter?
it. Great banter.
What was the rating?
5? 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'd really appreciate it if you also leave us a view, other listeners. It only takes about a minute, and it helps us out a lot. I've noticed, like, when I went to go review something, it's actually kind of hard to find how to do that on the Apple Podcast app.
Yeah.
So if you would like to leave a review, if you're not sure how to do, it's actually pretty simple. Just open the Apple Podcast app, which you're probably listening to us on right now, and then search for Screen Riot. Then you scroll down past all the episodes towards the bottom, and then there's a little review section. You just tap Write a Review. You give hopefully a 5-star rating, but you do you. You leave a little review, then you hit post. And it might ask you to pick a nickname, so go ahead and do that. And, we'll pick one each week that we do an episode, and yours might get read aloud on air. So there's that. And also for our newer listeners of the show, make sure you check out our Patreon page. That is patreon.com/ScreenRiot, where we have all kinds of benefits for joining our community up there. And all of our social media stuff, if you're looking how to contact us, how to get in touch with us and all that, just scroll down to the show notes at the bottom of the episode that you're listening to, and all of the links to Twitter and Facebook and Patreon and all that stuff is in there. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you for the Ocean's 11 review.
Sounds good. See you
See
next
ya.
time. Later.